Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve McKinley with the State 4-H Office. It is my pleasure to welcome you to our final series in the series for 4-H Thoughtful Thursdays. We are so glad that you could join us this afternoon. Our topic today is patriotism in you, and we'll introduce our speakers here in just a couple of minutes. This is our final of 4 sessions, and we're so glad that many of you could have been with us for all 4. Those of you that didn't have a chance to get to all 4, we do have them posted on the website, and we'll let you know where those are located here in a little bit. A couple of Zoom tips that will help our program to go really well. If you would keep your mic muted during the presentation, there will be time that you can unmute and talk with us a little bit later on. Feel free to type chat questions in the chat box. Those will go to the host and I'll be able to share those with the presenter. As always, we want to be respectful to everyone. That's important in anything that we're doing. And so be sure that we're doing that, and also recognize that our program today is being recorded and monitored. Some of you may not be familiar with 4-H, so I'll give you just a brief overview of what it looks like. It is a national program that's designed for students in grades 3 through 12. Across the country, we have over 6 million students who participate in some way in 4-H. It gives you a number of different ways that you can utilize your hands-on activities to be able to participate in 4-H, and learning skills that you'll be able to use throughout your life. In Indiana, we host Purdue University is the host for the Indiana 4-H program, and we're proud to be able to offer a great program across the state. We have 4-H Extension educators in each of our counties who are supported by hundreds of volunteers that make the program what it is today. About 60 different projects that you can choose from, or different subject areas that you can learn about in 4-H. And if you'd like to learn more, there is a link there at the bottom of the screen, or type in Indiana 4-H into your search engine and you should find a little bit more about us. Again, this is our final in the series of the 4-H Thoughtful Thursdays. We're very thankful that the 4-H Civic Engagement team was able to put this series together for us. All those resources from the 3 previous weeks are currently posted on the State 4-H website on the 4-H Civic Engagement page, and the ones from today will be posted here in the next day or so. Our speakers for today, Mr. Sthele Greybar from Elkhart County is the 4-H Extension educator, and Mrs. Jenny Monarch-McGuire from Tippecanoe County is our 4-H Extension educator, and Sthele and Jenny will be taking us through the rest of the program today. So thank you for joining us, and it's all yours.
All right, thank you, Steve. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm Sthele Greybar. I'm a member of the Indiana Civic Engagement team. I'm also part of the National Youth Empowerment team, and I was a teacher prior to my extension career, and I taught social studies for 6th through 12th grade. So Jenny, do you want to introduce yourself just real quick too, please?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jenny Monarch-McGuire. I'm the extension educator in Tippecanoe County, and I have previously worked with the American Democracy Project at Indiana State University, so I've led a lot of civic engagement themed events. As well as I also taught social studies for a year at when I was teaching in high school as well.
We have a lot of activities, I think, today. So the first one we'll move right into, it's something called Slido. So if you could either open a window on your computer, or you can go on your cell phone or any kind of devices, and just go to www.slido.com. And then I believe the first thing it'll ask you to do is enter a code. And your code is here in front of you, 40840. And there is one poll question waiting for you, hopefully. Should be active. You are allowed to answer it a couple times if you'd like. So feel free to do so. And it's going to generate a word cloud for you that you should be able to see once you've answered. See, a couple people are getting into it already. Yep. If you have any issues, just let me know. But everybody can go on in there and put in an answer or two. The question that it asks is, what's one word you think of when you hear the term patriotism? Let's kind of get the ball rolling, get our minds thinking along those terms. Looks like we've still only got about 4 people that have responded. So you're all right. We got a couple minutes. We'll go about 2 more minutes, and then we're going to look at the word cloud. Hopefully after you've answered, you can see the word cloud populating. How that works is the bigger the word, the more times it was entered. So if you're wondering why some are different sizes than others, that's why. We'll go about 1 more minute. All right, so hopefully everybody had an opportunity to put in an answer or two. Just looking at it on my phone, you probably might have it a different way, but the biggest word in the word cloud, for one word you think of when you hear the term patriotism, for us, for this group, was America, was the largest word. So that's a good one. We also have freedom, pride, flag. Mel Gibson got a couple votes. I'm not sure. Patriot, I guess. It's an old movie. Passion, and then USA. So very good. Yeah, those are all good terms. And I think we'll get into a little bit more about that as we go forward here. So any questions about the word cloud or any of the words that came up from anybody? Other than Mel Gibson? All right, very good. We're gonna move into another quick thing that we're gonna show here. So I have a video. This is a video that I've used with my extension board at a training, or with other groups of volunteers. It's kind of caught me off guard. It really did, but I really like it. It's an interesting video. But I will tell you, just a heads up, it's like 3.5 minutes long, and there's a lot of information in it. So look at these questions I have here, and I think it's important that you know these ahead of time because I'm going to ask them after you watch the video. But what we have is, what is something that you didn't know that you learned from this video, or something that you learned that you didn't know before from this video, because there's going to be a lot of facts and a lot of statistics. And then also, it ties into the activity after this. How does patriotism and citizenship, how are they connected? So think about both of those before we watch the video, as you watch the video. And then I'm gonna ask some of you to kind of share your thoughts. So Steve, if you'd like, you go ahead and we could start it. It's got one of my favorites.
Patriotism. There's a word thrown around a lot. It inspires passionate debate and is worn like a badge of honor, and with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. Love. For a word designed to unite, it can also be pretty divisive. You see, there's more to patriotism than flag sequin onesies and rodeos and quadruple cheeseburgers. Patriotism is love for a country, not just pride in it. But what really makes up this country of ours? What is it we love? It's more than just a huge rock full of animals like cougars and eagles, right? It's the people. Do me a favor. Close your eyes for a second. I want to try something out. Picture the average U.S. citizen. Think about it. How old are they? What's their hair like? How much can they bench? You got one? Okay. So chances are, the person you're picturing right now looks a little different than the real average American. There are 319 million U.S. citizens. 51% are female. So first off, the average American is a woman. Cool, huh? Is that what you pictured? 54 million are Latino, 40 million senior citizens, 27 million are disabled, 18 million are Asian. That's more people in the U.S. than play football and baseball combined. 9 million are lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, more than the entire amount of people that live in the state of Virginia. Around 10 million are redhead, 5.1 million play ultimate frisbee, and 3.5 million are Muslim. Triple the number of people currently serving in the United States military. Almost half the country belongs to minority groups. People who are lesbian, African American, and bi, and transgender, and Native American, and proud of it. We know that labels don't devalue us, they help define us, keeping us dialed into our cultures and our beliefs and who we are as Americans. After all, what's more American than freedom to celebrate the things that make us, us? I mean, it's stitched into the stars and stripes of this country, from the Constitution to Gettysburg, to our motto, E pluribus unum, from many, one. It's even in our country's name, the United States. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, disability, sexuality, race, religion, and any other labels. Because the second any of us judge people based on those labels, we're not really being patriotic, are we? So let's try this one more time. Close your eyes. Picture the average Joe or Joan or Juan or Jean-Luc. The real people who make America, America. And this year, whenever you feel the urge to don those star-spangled shorts, set off fireworks the size of my biceps to show love for our country, remember that to love America is to love all Americans. Because love has no labels.
All right. So yeah, those of you that don't know me, and that's most everybody, wrestling is like one of my favorite sports adjacent things. I don't call it a sport, but they are athletes. But that's John Cena. He's a wrestler, in case you were wondering who that was. But I guess, is there anybody who would like to volunteer to answer, what is something that you learned in that video that maybe you didn't know prior to watching it? Do I dare call on someone? I will. Oh, Katie Sweet wrote, she didn't know, you can speak, Katie, if you'd like. Didn't know there were so many redheads. I forget how many he said there were, but it's also important. That video is a couple of years old now, probably 3 years old. So those numbers could be slightly different. Shouldn't have changed too much. How about, I know some of you have been to several of these meetings already. Hope Kenyon, would you be willing to share something maybe you learned in that video? No, not hearing anything. Nothing? Okay. You can type in the chat too. That's fine. That'll work just as well. How about just anything that you observed at all in that video I've watched it probably a dozen times, and I sometimes find something new pretty much every time going on, either in the background or something else that he's mentioned or anything like that. How about Adam? Adam, is there anything about the video that you would like to share? No.
Sthele got from Hope. She typed in the chat to me that she learned that love is patriotism. That's pretty cool.
That's good. Yeah.
Thank you, Hope.
Right. That was what the big message, right? Is that love for one's country. That's a way to define patriotism, is love for one's country. And what John Cena's talking about is that includes loving the people in it and the differences that we all have. Adam wrote to me. He said that he learned that there are more people that are Muslims in this country than there are people serving in the U.S. military. That is a statistic that he shared. Yeah, sure. That's caught me off guard as well too. When you kind of put the numbers and compare the two, I would have thought that there was a lot more folks serving in the U.S. military, but it's not what the video shares. So, how about anybody that wants to just talk about, what's the connection between patriotism and citizenship? Because that's where we're headed with this presentation. We're gonna talk about citizenship next. Any thoughts on that?
I would like to share a story or a thought, I guess. So, hi everyone, my name is Katie Sweet. I'm the 4-H educator in Hendricks County, and I feel like patriotism and citizenship can be tied together. My cousin is adopted from Russia, and he was adopted when he was about 5 years old, and I had the opportunity in early March to actually watch him become a citizen. And so that was a really cool ceremony to see and be a part of and experience, because there were several different parts of the world that were represented. And these were people that were making a choice to become a US citizen. They had to go through, a test and do a lot of actual work to become a citizen, just because they weren't born in the US. And so it's been neat as a personal experience to watch my cousin grow and see how closely tied I think patriotism is to him, with being now a citizen of the US. And one of the things at that ceremony they talked about, or there was a video from President Trump welcoming everyone to the US. And one of the things he said is, our history is now your history. And that was just really powerful to be able to think through. And, I'm proud to be a citizen. And I think that kind of ramped up my patriotism as well that day after experiencing that ceremony. So those two to me are really closely tied together.
Thank you, Katie. That's great. That's great. And that actually, that's a great segue for Jenny, who's got another fun activity planned for the next part. So Jenny, you want to go ahead?
Thanks, Sthele. So we're kind of talking about the differences between citizenship and patriotism. So what do you think? Can anybody tell me what they think it means to be a citizen? So what do you like? And I have written down the literal definition if we need it, but what do you think it means to be a citizen? And if you need to use the chat, that's fine. Any ideas what it means to be a citizen? Sthele added his thoughts that he gets to vote if he's a citizen. Now there are some parameters around voting. You know, you do have to register still, just to remind you about that. But yes, you that is a right as a citizen. And again, we'll talk about that a little bit in the quiz. If you guys, just so you know, the definition of a citizen is a native or naturalized member of a state or nation who has allegiance to its government or owes allegiance to its government and is entitled to be to its protection. And that specific definition mentions being native or naturalized. So again, you can, as Katie mentioned, there is a way that even if you're not native to the United States, that you can earn your right to be a citizen. It is a long and complex process, but it is possible, you know, to become a United States citizen by going through a series of steps. Yeah, and Molly mentioned you have more rights as a citizen. So than you would maybe if you're just visiting our country and maybe not a permanent resident. Or even if you are a permanent resident, but you're not a citizen, there's certain things you can and cannot do based on whether you have citizenship in this country. And that I'm sure is true in lots of countries. And the laws and rules are different everywhere. But in the United States, there are certain things, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Does
Hey,
anyone?
Jenny?
Yes.
Sorry, I had a response from Hope about what it means to be a citizen.
Awesome.
She says, when I think of citizen, I think of helping other people.
Awesome. Well, yeah, and especially in 4-H, when we talk about citizenship, that's a lot of times what we think about. We think about community service and helping your neighbor or the people around you. And you might be hopefully seeing a lot of that right now. So like in Tippecanoe County in Lafayette, I know that they are, there's a group making masks for people who need them. And so you submit a form, you request your mask, and these people are volunteering their time and their money to help donate all these masks to people who need them right now. So that is one way that they can practice citizenship and help their fellow citizens and their fellow neighbors, which is great. And then somebody else said a non-citizen might have rights. Yes, every person in the country does have rights, but a citizen has additional rights and privileges. Very good. So that was from Adam. So can anybody tell me what you think the difference between citizenship and then patriotism is? So I also have the legal definition written here, if you guys would like to know that. But first, I'd like to hear your thoughts of what you think the difference between the two is. Any ideas? So just so you know, the legal definition of patriotism is the quality of being patriotic and devotion to and vigorous support for one's country. So you might have heard a little bit of that when John Cena was talking in that video. So devotion to one's country. But as it mentions here, a little bit of difference between being a citizen and patriotism is that vigorous support, that really you have a lot of eagerness. Yes, somebody mentioned that that patriotism is taking your citizenship basically a step further and taking action to love your country. So that's a very good way to explain that. Basically taking it a step further, because really I was born in the United States, so I'm a citizen. I don't necessarily have to do anything to be an American citizen, but patriotism is that like additional love and showing that love for your country. Okay, so what we're gonna do now though, and it plays a lot, like Sthele mentioned, it plays around with what Katie said was very relevant to what we're gonna do. So we're actually gonna see how much you know about your country, and we're gonna use a few of the questions from the actual citizenship test that people have to take to become a United States citizen. So we're gonna do a Kahoot quiz. I know a lot of you have been doing e-learning lately and stuff, so you might be familiar with Kahoot. But we're gonna have a practice question so that you can kind of see what you do with Kahoot. So it'd be helpful to have a phone available to play. That's the easiest way, so I would recommend that. But there's an app, or you can go to a website. So you have two options. Go to www.kahoot.it, or you can go onto a Kahoot app, which I happen to have. And then you're going to type in that PIN to enter our game. So we'll wait to let everyone get in. We recommend nicknames. It makes it a little more fun. We did that at our district meeting and nobody knew who I was. It was kind of made it a fun activity. You don't quite know who you're competing against. And if you guys have issues, technical issues, feel free to share that in the chat and we can work to address that. We've got our adults, I think, in the game. They're ready. Ooh, we got, I think we lost somebody, but we got Ellie in the game. This will be easy, that you don't have to talk for this, so you just press a button. I'm not gonna play this time because I kind of made the quiz, so I'll stay out of the game. All right, we've got Star in the game. And me in the game. Okay, interesting. So we have 6 people. I know there's probably a few more that could potentially join. We got Molly in the game. I don't know why it has a cross through Katie's name. That's weird. Maybe that's like just on my screen. I think it is. Interesting. I'm still learning about Kahoot, just so you guys know. Okay, I feel like we're losing people. I'm not sure our timetable, if we, at what point I need to just move forward, Steve, just let me know.
I think you can go ahead.
Okay. Okay, and it says duplicate because I was having some tech issues, but so this is a practice question. So what does the 4th H stand for in 4-H? Hopefully you guys know this. So you're going to select from your choices below, and it's head, heart, hands, and health, and they're color coordinated to kind of help you out. So we're gonna, as soon as everybody answers, it will move forward. So got 4 answers in so far, 5. We got 6. Ooh, not everyone knew that question, or they were actually hit the wrong button. But that the 4th H is actually health. So, and if you need to remind yourself of that, you can always just say the 4-H pledge. Hopefully, you guys know that. Okay, and we're going to move on to the next question. And just so you know, with Kahoot, that how quickly you respond also affects your score. So everyone could have technically gotten it right, but we like people will score higher the faster they answer. Okay, so the rest of the questions are going to be based on the citizenship test. So we'll see what you guys know. Okay, so what do we call the first 10 amendments to the Constitution? So they have a specific name. So are they the 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights, the 10 commandments, or Article 1? So what do you think? What are the first 10 amendments called? Okay, we got them all. Everyone got that one right. That's awesome. So yeah, that is called the Bill of Rights. So that's what we always call the first 10, because those were the first ones that were created, and those are really critical ones. But as time goes on, they kept adding to them. As you know, I think we have like 26 or 27 at this point. But they can technically always add one even now. Ooh, Steve moved in the lead. Okay. Next question. Who is in charge of the executive branch? So is it the Prime Minister, the President, the Speaker of the House, or the Chief Justice? Okay, it is the President. So the executive branch is the President's branch and their cabinet. So the President would be in charge of the executive branch. Ooh, Steve's on fire. Okay, next one. When was the Constitution written? So is it 1776, 1789, 1787, or 1790? This one's a little tricky. I think both Sthele and I got it wrong on our first attempt. Yes, this one is actually 1787. So 1776 is when the Declaration of Independence was created, but not the Constitution. So they did have to fight and win their independence before they were able to develop the Constitution and all of that. And that happened in 1787. Ooh, John Cena took the lead on that one. All right, so if the president and the vice president are unable to serve, who then becomes the president? So who is third in line to become president? Is it the designated survivor, the Senate Majority Leader, the Secretary of State, or the Speaker of the House? So who's third in line? Okay, yeah, most people knew that one. The Speaker of the House is actually third in line, and currently our Speaker of the House is Nancy Pelosi. So if something happened to the president and the vice president, then she would then become the president. Got a lot of changing in the scores. Okay, there were 13 original states. Name 3. Oh, and I guess I should read them. Virginia, North Carolina, Florida, Washington, Oregon, California, Maryland, Virginia, and North Carolina, or New York, Kentucky, and Georgia. So we got most people. And that one was a little trickier, but it's Maryland, Virginia, and North Carolina. My rule of thumb is I know they all kind of started on the East Coast, so that kind of helps me know that. So. All right, Steve moved back in the lead. Okay, what is one responsibility that is only for United States citizens? So we were talking earlier about non-citizens versus citizens. So this is a responsibility that is only expected of United States citizens. Is it A, to serve in a jury, B, to obey the law, C, to pay taxes, or D, to be respectful of others? Which one is only for US citizens? And yes, that is to serve on a jury. So the other 3 are things I think everyone is expected to do, whether or not you are a citizen. So, but the serve on the jury is something they will only ask of citizens. Steve is in the lead. Me's getting up there though, whoever me is. So why does the flag have 13 stripes? Is it A, because the stripes represent the original colonies? B, or blue, because the stripes represent the members of the Second Continental Congress? C, is it because it's considered lucky to have 13 stripes on a flag? Or D, is it because the stripes represent the number of signatures on the Constitution? And most people knew that one. It is represents those 13 original colonies, the 13 stripes. Okay, you can see this here. I'll scroll down so we can see the standings there. So when was the Declaration of Independence adopted? So we kind of might have got a little help for this question earlier. So what do you think? Is it December 7th, 1987, July 4th, 1789, July 4th, 1776, or March 4th, 1789? It is July 4th. Yep. So that's what we celebrate. We celebrate when we declared our independence on July 4th. Ooh, me took the lead. We elect a U.S. representative. So for how many years? So these are people in Congress. So how many years is a U.S. representative elected for? Is it 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, or 8 years? Okay, so this one was a little harder. So this one is actually 2 years. So those are the, when we talk about Speaker of the House of Representatives is made up of representatives, and they are all have to run for re-election every 2 years. So when you think about having off-year elections and stuff, so when it's not the presidential election, you are electing all of these people. And then when it is, you're electing them again. So they have to run a lot. They're pretty much always in election mode. Okay, so how many US senators are there? So this is the other half of the legislative branch. So how many US senators are there? Okay, most people got that one. That's great. So there are 100 US senators, which is 2 for every state in the country. There are, if you notice, 435 was an option. That is the number of in the House of Representatives. So there are a lot more of them, and that is because they represent their the states by the number of people that live in them, versus the U.S. senators are just 2 per state. All right, man, taking a strong lead with this one. Okay, final question. How old do you have to be to vote? Is it 16, 18, 20, or there are no age restrictions? So everybody got that one, which I figured they would. So you do have to be 18 years old to vote. Some of you may be 18 already. And if you didn't know, we actually have an election coming up on Tuesday. So our primary election, which is usually in May, was moved because of the pandemic, and now they're having it on June 2nd. So that is an opportunity if you are eligible to vote in the election. That one is designed to narrow your candidates of either Democrat or Republican to then, or another party, to then have a final slate of candidates that you would vote for in the regular election in November. So it's a very important part of the process. Not as many people vote in the primary as would vote in the regular election. So the podium. Ellie got 3rd place. Way to go, Ellie. Steve got 2nd place. And the winner is me, which is not me, but somebody else out in the group. So way to go. Does anybody want to reveal who me was? Because it was not literally me, so. It was Adam. Way to go, Adam. So Adam, and you had a nice catch up at the end there. I played Kahoot recently, and I was in the lead for a while, and it was very frustrating because someone like you caught up at the very end and defeated me in the last 2 questions. It was a sad day, but way to go, everyone, and thanks for playing. Even if you didn't play, hopefully you learned a little bit more of what are some of the questions are, or some information about your country. And you know, maybe how you might fare if you had to take that citizenship exam that people have to take when they try to become a citizen of this country. All right, well, that's all for my part of things. Move on to the next section.
Okay, yeah, so thanks for that, Jenny. That was fun. We have, I think, one more activity really for today. We just talked about citizenship, and that's the citizenship test is actually perfect because, you know, part of patriotism too is knowing about your country, right? Knowing the history, knowing the laws, understanding what your rights are. And I think that ties into this next activity really well, because this next activity, you know, other than like voting and knowing about your country, every day you can be engaged. You can have discussion with other folks, learn from each other, but you got to do it. You got to do it the right way, and you'll actually, I think you'll learn a lot if you're able to do so. So I do want to just set some ground rules before we start this activity, though, and that's just a couple things. Is I do hope that you guys speak to each other in your breakout groups. It is important. Part of being engaged is speaking and public speaking, really. A lot of times you'll have to share your thoughts on things or issues in public. So it's good to practice, because it's not something anybody's better at doing. It's just the more you do it, the better you get. So with that, you know, please speak up when we ask you these questions here in a minute. But also, everybody that's listening needs to be respectful to that person that's talking. There shouldn't be any insults of any kind. You shouldn't talk over the person who's got the floor, and you shouldn't judge what they have to say. Just know that everybody has their own opinions and has their own minds, and it's okay to disagree, okay? But we have to do it respectfully. So that's just the ground rules that I want to make sure everybody knows. And that ties into the practice tips that I have there, which is, honestly, when I talk government, I said this is stuff you can do every day, right? This is, you can develop your opinion on a subject, whatever the question or the problem is or the issue, you develop an opinion on your own. As long as you're using reasoned judgment for your opinion, and then you share it with others, you're engaged. At that point, you're being a good active citizen, and practicing, you know, your patriotism and your love for the country just by sharing a good reasoned opinion with others. So that's what we're going to do. That's really the activity, is you're going to develop an opinion and you're going to share it with others. So Steve, if you go to the next slide, what I want you to do is I want you to look at these two questions and just take maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And if you have a piece of paper or a phone app or whatever, write down a couple thoughts that you have that you're going to be willing to share with other people. So the first question there is, what makes America great for you? Okay, so just reflect. It's going to be self-reflective. What makes America great for you? And think about your answer. And also, as a follow-up, what improvements do you wish America would adopt? Is there ways that it can improve? How so? Just make a couple notes so you have that. Think about it first, but then make a couple notes. Think about why you feel the way you feel. And then in about 2 minutes, we're going to break out into smaller groups. And I really hope that everybody has an opportunity just to share, even if it's just for 15 seconds. Please just share vocally in your breakout groups your answers to these questions, and that would be tremendous. So maybe 1 more minute still. What makes America great for you? What improvements do you wish America would adopt? And I think we're going to have these questions in the chat in your breakout rooms as well, so that if you need to reference back to them, you can see them still. maybe 30 more seconds. I always find that it's helpful to write out some talking points prior to sometimes talking. So that's why we're giving you this opportunity. But to really think about why you believe what you believe and reflect on it is the important piece. Okay, so Steve, I believe, is going to break us out into two groups. Looks like we have 8 participants, so I imagine 4 of us to one room, 4 to another. And then we will have about 5 minutes. And like I said, I'd like everybody to speak if they can. If you're still not willing to, at least type it out. But please, I encourage you to speak because that's important. That's just really important in today's public discourse, is just to be able to speak in public. So go ahead, Steve. You can break us out. So would anybody like to share some discussion that came up in your breakout room?
I'll go for our group. The first question was, what is like great about America for me? And mine was the freedom that we have here in America. In a lot of other countries, there may not be as much freedom and rights and things like that.
That's great. What about, who was it that spoke in our group? Ellie, would you be willing to share just a little bit about what we talked about?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, freedom was definitely a big one for me, and something that we all agreed on that is nice, like the freedom of speech and just freedom in general. And then opportunities is another one that got brought up, was just as to how many opportunities that we have, and that if we work really hard to achieve something, that we can end up meeting that goal, and we can basically do whatever we want as long as we work to get that goal. So that's just a little bit about what me and my group talked about.
So sounds like it went well. So I appreciate you guys doing that activity. And yeah, that's just a good practice in general, is if there's a question or an issue or something that's happening at like a school board meeting or 4-H meeting or anything, think about it first, develop an opinion, and then share it is really crucial, because you guys are smart and you guys have things that folks need to hear, right? So, but you want to make sure you deliver it the best way possible. So with that, I think that concludes what Jenny and I had put together for today. I'll turn it back over to Steve.
And thank you, Sthele, and thank you, Jenny. I'll just throw it open for any quick questions that anybody might have of our presenters today. If you do, you feel free to unmute and share those with us, or you can also include those in the chat. As you're thinking about those questions, I will go on with a couple of upcoming events that I think you may be interested in that relate to your age group and perhaps your interest areas as well. 2 of those are coming up in June. The first one is in 2 weeks. It's the 4-H Civic Engagement Workshop. It's going to be held on Wednesday afternoon, June the 10th, Thursday afternoon, June the 11th. Both of those days will be between 1 and 4 p.m. And then on Friday morning, June the 12th, from 9 until 11:30 in the morning, we'll be meeting together. We'll begin talking with some local and state government officials. We'll also have a chance for you as students to identify some local issues that you have identified and be able to talk with those individuals about what it is that you might need to do to address those issues at home. And so you'll think through some questions, think through some different scenarios perhaps about things that you could do to address those issues in your community. We'll also talk about some international experiences that are available for you as a college student and perhaps even as you move into future career opportunities. Our State 4-H Junior Leader Conference is coming up on June 16, 17, and 18. Sthele and Jenny and I will all be part of that, along with a bunch of other folks that will be helping to put on the conference. It's going to be offered each afternoon from 3 until 6 p.m. That's Eastern Time. A number of different things are going to be happening. I think you're really going to enjoy it. We've got different sessions that our State 4-H Junior Leader Council have put together that you'll learn about 8 different topics that they have put together for you. We also have Craig Tornquist coming. He's a comedian as well as our keynote speaker. He will be with us on Tuesday afternoon, and will do a great job, I know, in being able to interact with you. He's got a number of different activities lined up for us. His topic is leadership and laughter, something that I think we can all do that way as well. And then on Thursday afternoon, there's going to be a networking event, and that networking event is going to include some business and industry professionals. You'll get a chance to interview them and talk with them. They'll give you some tips on preparing for a future career, preparing for job interviews, those types of things. And so I would encourage you to think about that. The connection for both of those is included there on the slide. It is no cost to you to join, so you're welcome to join. All you need to do is click on that link. It'll bring you into a Zoom room like this. We anticipate a few more. Please feel free to share this with your other students in your communities. Do not have to be 4-H members, but a lot of them will be, and just are looking forward to having 2 of those different weeks. That'll be really exciting. So we'd encourage you to be a part of that. And again, those are available to you at no cost. So we hope that that's something that you'll take advantage of for it with us. Some of you are thinking about college. Some of you are already moving in that direction. If you're interested at all at Purdue, there is an opportunity for you to be a part of the Fast Start program. That will allow you to do some online courses and take some exams that will enable you to get some college credit ahead of time. Admission to Purdue will be assured with 5 to 10 of those online courses completed. The link is included there on the slide of how you can learn more information about the Fast Start program, but that can result in up to $21,000 in savings for college. And you and your parents, I'm sure, would be appreciative of that if Purdue is at all of interest to you. We don't have another Thoughtful Thursday to tune into next week, but we can encourage you to take a look at the Civic Engagement Workshop or Civic Engagement page for where this link will be located, along with some of the additional resources that we've had over the past 4 weeks. Thank you to those of you that have been a part of this program for the several weeks. Really looking forward to interacting with you in the next couple opportunities coming up in June. If you've not had a chance yet to tell us that you were here, that purdue.ag/4H Thoughtful Thurs 1 will let you tell us that you are here, and the 4-H Thoughtful Thurs 2 link that will allow you to tell us something that you learned today and something that you might be able to use in the future. I've had a couple of you in the chat thank us for this program, and we appreciate that. You're very welcome for that. We're very appreciative of you joining us and spending some of your time with us as well. So thank you so much for being a part of the series. Know that any of those resources that are posted are ones that you can replicate with individuals in your community, other youth, maybe even some adults. You never know, they could learn this as well. So we'd encourage you to take advantage of those resources and utilize those as you need to. So with that, we want to sign off for today. And thanks again for Jenny and Sthele for their time to be with us today, and for each of you for participating. So have a great rest of your day and a great rest of the month of May. Thank you so much.